Welcome to Spiritual Ambition, where we tune in to awaken our divine nature and explore the provocative inner force compelling us toward our fullest potential. If you've achieved external success but feel a deeper calling, if you're tired of dimming your light to fit in, and you know there's a more powerful way to live and lead and love, you're in the right place. Host Donnabond is a best-selling author, modern-day high priestess, and catalyst for personal transformation. Together, we're birthing a new paradigm of loving leadership, integrating our humanity with divine wisdom as our individual awakening serves collective evolution. Here's your host of Spiritual Ambition, Donnabond.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Spiritual Ambition. I am your host, Donnabond, and today we're going to talk about our mind and mindsets. And let's see, what did I name this show? Your mind, tool or master. We're going to break free of some limiting mindsets today. But before we do that, I want to invite all of us to turn our attention inward. That's really my intention with Spiritual Ambition, that we're slowing it down a click and we're tuning in. Jennifer, welcome. So great to have you back. Thank you for being here. I want everybody to just settle in. Maybe light a candle, grab your journal. We're going to go on a wonderful exploration today of our minds. So I want to invite you to just close your eyes. If you're driving, don't close your eyes. You know, I should probably warn you though, if you are driving, if you're listening to the podcast or you're listening to this later, this can be elevating, and I want to invite you to be in a place where you're safe and grounded and where you can just let go a little bit and do sort of this inner exploration. It's such a gift that you can give to yourself when you can just stop, relax, open, allow, retracting ourselves from the constant go, 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 do, strive, push, force, go. It's so much. Hey, KB, welcome. Good to have you here. Okay, everyone, go ahead and close your eyes for real this time. And just take a nice big breath. And just letting that go. And noticing the beat of your heart. Just listening inwardly to your breath. Beautiful breath of life, the breath that animates you, the breath that connects you with your spiritual nature, the invisible realms, this infinite intelligence that is powering the universe and you in it. You as it. Just taking a nice, beautiful inhalation, letting go, dropping off anything you no longer need, letting go of anything that's no longer serving you, whether you are consciously aware of it or not. And as you continue breathing, just letting yourself know you're in a safe place, free to express and explore, free to look at your mind, observe all the activity that's going on in your mind, the thousands and thousands of thoughts, just breathing those out right now. Finding a clearing, infinite universe, we call ourselves forward into your loving. We ask to be cleared, filled, surrounded, and protected with the clear white light of living love. We ask that any karma, negativity, imbalance, any distress, discomfort, dis-ease, any energy or vibrational frequency that is vibrating at anything less than the frequency of divine loving that may be residing anywhere in our consciousness, mentally, physically, emotionally, subconsciously, or energetically. We ask that anything with a resonant frequency less than divine loving be lifted and transmuted at this time. Into this space, we welcome grace, peace, light, love, joy, upliftment, creativity, allowing, relaxing, opening, gentleness, tenderness, compassion. We acknowledge and we welcome the divine beings of light who work with each one of us, who love each one of us unconditionally, who work for the divine plan and who work for the light. We welcome you into this sacred space that we are creating together. We ask for your support and assistance in bringing forward healing, revelation, and wisdom of the heart that will resonate most profoundly with each individual here, whether they are live or catching the recording later, for their highest good and the highest good of all concerned. We are so grateful for the opportunity to come together and do this work. And for this and more, we say thank you. So be it. And just bringing your attention back to the room. So today we're going to talk about our mind and our mindset and our thoughts. And, our thoughts and our mind, sometimes we want to believe that our mind runs our life. And sometimes we allow our mind to run our life. And today is a big invitation to recognize that there are other parts of our consciousness that want to participate in our life, and meaning emotionally and physically and spiritually. And I'm going to share a few stories today about my own journey with really learning about and understanding mindset and my own awareness around how fixed my mindset was at one time in my life, and what it's taken for me to sort of soften that and open myself to relaxing my grip around what it is I think I know, or what it is I think the right way is, or what the rules are, or what I think it should be. And really giving myself permission to dream, to imagine, to allow my mind to expand, to intermingle with different levels of different dimensions. Ooh, that's crazy. And it's possible. One of the things that we're going to do before we get into the mindset is, you might remember me speaking about the sacred circle of light. And during our launch show, we talked about this sacred practice that we have an opportunity to do together. Our sacred circle of light is where our community can intentionally send light and love and upliftment and feelings of goodwill, feelings of healing grace, intentions of healing grace out and around to specific people that we might select or choose who we know could really use that extra support. And so you're invited, always, every episode, you're invited to submit their names so that we can collectively send the light to them when we come together. And we did get some light requests between last episode and today. And so I just want to share those names and invite all of us to bring our loving energy, our loving presence to each one of these individuals. So we're going to send light to Daniel, Stuart, Nicole, Stephen, Alicia, Bob, and Maureen. And if there's anybody else that you feel called to just drop their name into the chat in this moment, where we would like to include them in our sacred circle of light, please feel free to do so. And so we're just going to close our eyes. Thank you, Jade, sending light to everyone that I just named. We just send a blessing of upliftment, of healing grace for the highest good. We send the light up ahead to each of those individuals, allowing our collective love and light to ripple out and around the globe, reaching the hearts of each of those. Erin, thank you so much. Jennifer, thank you for your love. All right, and just as a reminder, if there's somebody that you would like to send light to, you can visit spiritualambition.sacredlight.com, and you can submit the name of that individual, and they will be recognized here during our next episode, which will take place on March 9th. So let's think about mindset. Gosh, I'm going to tell you some stories. Carol Dweck wrote a book called Mindset. And in that book, she explored the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. And when this information came into my awareness, my head practically exploded because I had the shock and kind of the horror in a little bit to realize how fixed my mindset was. Thank you, Courtney. I suddenly became aware of how rigid my thinking was. And, I think a fixed mindset it's an inherited situation. And it's inherited because of the environment that we grow up in, the pressure that is created around us, the demands that are put upon us to have the right answer, to know it all, to have our shit together. There's all of these cultural norms that have been impressed upon us that have contributed to this idea that we're supposed to be perfect, that we're supposed to have all of the info and the facts and the knowledge. And, I think I briefly spoke about this during our initial episode. And thank you, Courtney. I'm reading Courtney's comment. Says, your first show touched my soul. Being vulnerable is a wonderful lesson to us all. Thank you. Thank you so much. I have the gift of tenderness, and it feels really tender for me to even be talking about my fixed mindset and how closed-minded I was experiencing my life by no fault of my own. And I really want everyone to hear that. When we bring forward some of these things that we're going to explore together and that we're going to look at together, this is not an opportunity for judgment or an opportunity to be critical with yourself, or an opportunity to beat up on yourself or shame yourself. This is about an opportunity to look at something in a safe place, to consider a different way of relating to something, a different way of relating to yourself, a different way of relating to your mind, a different way of relating to your life. And, this is really the beauty of looking through the spiritual lens, because we bring in this neutrality. And the neutrality is really necessary when we start examining ourselves and our personality gets in the way and feels bad and makes things right and wrong. And these are all mindsets. So we always have the opportunity to transition and be aware of when we are fixated on something, right? When we got our heels dug in, we are locked in, right? We're holding on with our fingernails like claws. We're digging in, and that's our point, and we're holding fast. When we do that, we close ourselves off to other possibilities. We close ourselves off to other perspectives, to other viewpoints. And so it's this weird paradox that happens, because our ego and our personality want to feel safe. And that's why our ego and our personality and our mindset has this stance that I have to know the answers. I have to have my shit together and have it all figured out. And when we do that, in a way, we close ourselves off to new possibilities. So when I started recognizing the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset, because I also went back to school at the age of 44 and pursued a master's degree in spiritual psychology. And suddenly I am in this space where I'm no longer in this career, in this profession that I've been doing for 28 years at the time, where I was an expert, right? Like I knew it. I had it all together. I had all the facts. And now I'm landing in this space around something that I don't know anything about. And I am now adopting what we know as the beginner's mind. The beginner's mind. Remember when you were a beginner with something, when it was new and it was fresh and it was exciting and it was interesting, and you didn't have any pressure on yourself to have to know it all or to have to come up with the right answer. That is an opening. And when we relax enough to give ourselves permission to be in that growth mindset, it's like we just opened up a door to an entirely new world. We open up a door to an entire new life when we can start doing something with that fresh perspective. Thank you for all the encouragement, Courtney. No judgment. We're all conditioned to be that way. Yeah, it's true. So I want to share also something that during this time, one of the things that I encountered that was absolutely terrifying to me, and how I recognized that I had this fixed mindset, was I encountered something called the Milgram experiment. And the Milgram experiment was a famous psychological study that took place by Yale University back in 1961. And I'm gonna read this excerpt just so I can sort of encapsulate this, and then I'll talk a little bit about it. But what they did in this study was they had participants who were instructed to administer a seemingly dangerous electrical shock to a learner. And when they answered questions incorrectly. So like this person in this study was answering a question, and the facilitator, who was a hired participant in this study, was instructed to administer an electrical shock to this person if they got the answer incorrect. What it revealed was a disturbingly high tendency for people to obey authority. Have you guys heard about this? The Milgram experiment. So when I saw this, it was like all of these shackles came down off of my consciousness, off of my awareness, because I suddenly realized at what level I had been hypnotized by authority, had been so obedient my entire life, and how I was playing by the rules, following the leader. And this was so shocking to me. This was so shocking to me that I think I had an absolute shift in consciousness at that very moment, because my mindset in that moment had gone from fixed to growth just by me encountering that awareness within myself and looking at my own limitations. So I want you to consider your own mindset. And we're going to do like a little experiment right now. So I want you to grab a journal and something to write with. And I want you to consider something that you don't think you're good at. And I want you to just write it down. Or you could even put it in the chat if you're feeling brave. Something that you don't think you're good at. Yeah, just jotting that down on your notebook. Something that you don't think you're good at. Way to go, Courtney. You're not always good at being silent. I don't know if that's going to work for this activity that I'm going to lead you through. My sense is that you're not here to be silent. You are here to speak up and to speak out and to share your voice. KB says, I'm not good at projecting sturdiness. Courtney says, I'm not good at sitting still. I want you to come up with something that you'd like to be good at, that you don't think that you are. We all have those things. All right, so hopefully you've jotted down a couple of ideas. Now I want you to add the word yet to the end of whatever it is that you wrote. So I'm not good at sitting still yet. I'm not good at being silent yet. I'm not good at trusting and believing yet. And I want you to just notice how just by adding that one little word, yet, you move from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. That one little shift is what opens you to a whole other world of possibility. One little word. I love it. Tanya, I'm not good at negotiating a high salary yet. Okay, so I just want you to tune into that. Let's work with this. I love this one because, do you feel the possibilities? When we have the mindset that I'm not good at negotiating a high salary, we immediately close ourselves down. We shut ourselves off. We've just put a full stop. We end it. We close it. But the minute we add that yet, we open a door and we invite a new possibility into our experience. So, Tanya, if you want to play with me a little bit here in the chat, I would love it. I'm not good at negotiating a high salary yet. One little thing that I might be able to do or learn or discover would be, what's one little teeny tiny direction, one little tiny step that you can take towards being good at negotiating a salary? Courtney, I have the same question for you. Courtney writes, I'd love to be good at keeping a tidy home. So I'm not good at keeping a tidy home yet. And what's one little step that you can take? Courtney, switch to paper. Good job. Amazing. All right. I think I've made my point here on the yet, and I just wanted to give you an experience of shifting your mindset. I'm going to tell you another story. This is a great mindset story. So there's a guy and he's fishing, and he's on the end of a pier and he's catching all these fish. And every time he catches a fish, he chops the head off and throws it back into the water. And someone is observing him, like that he cuts half the fish in half and throws half of it back into the water. And so the guy who's observing him comes up to him and says, how come you're throwing away half the fish? And the man responds and he says, because my frying pan is only this big. This is another example of a limiting mindset. Drop in the chat for me. What is a limiting mindset that you can identify in your consciousness right now that you're willing to look at, you're willing to shine the light on? And that's what this is all about, is we're willing to shine the light and look at something that maybe we weren't willing to look at yesterday, or something maybe that it didn't occur to us to look at yesterday. As we begin to examine our mindset, our thoughts, we can catch some of the thoughts that are really unproductive and unsupportive to the life that we want to live, to the experience that we want to have. Because, I'll be in full disclosure here, doing this live stream, I do have my notes. I'm still using my notes. It's a little uncomfortable, right? I could easily go into all of the reasons why I'm not enough or not good enough to be able to do something like this. And if I do that, I'm eliminating the possibility of an experience for you. I'm eliminating the possibility of an experience for me. I'm eliminating the possibility of me being on purpose in the work that I'm here to do in the world, which is participate in this massive shift in consciousness that's taking place on the planet. And for me, it all started with looking at my own mindset. I really, there was so much pressure growing up to know it all, to have it all figured out, to have it all perfect. And I still, you probably look at me and you can detect a little bit of the perfectionist, although I've let my hair grow silver now and I've relaxed quite a bit since I've moved here to the jungle of Costa Rica, because the jungle can't be tamed. And that has definitely invited a great deal of surrender in my life. But had I held fast to what it is that I thought that I knew, we wouldn't be sitting here today. I would not have had so many of the incredible experiences that I've had in my life, because I would have been locked into this tiny little world that I was living in. And for me to expand and to step out of my own confines required me to shift my mind into a place of not knowing, into a place of being willing to not know. All right, I want to give you another mindset shift that we can all work with. And this mindset shift, I want to invite you to work with this between now and our next show, which will be on March 9th. We get fixated in thinking that things are either or. I can either do this or that. I can either have a career or be a mother. I can either have a structure or be spontaneous. I can either keep a boundary or be in a relationship. And so we make these rules up in our mind. We make these rules up in our mind, and then we live our life according to the rules that we make up. So I'd like to invite you out of either or and into both and. And where this gets really interesting, because we can say, like, I can have both a career and be a mother, or I can have both structure and spontaneity. I can have both spirituality and practicality. But where it becomes really liberating and consciousness shifting is when we start considering our inner experience. And I can be angry and I can still love you. I can be afraid and I can still move forward. I can feel grief and I can still experience joy. So this is a really big opportunity to break free from something that's confining and limiting, and dare I say inherited. And this came through as I was designing a process for you guys, because I do have a process. We're not going to go through it together today, but I'm going to, as a matter of fact, I can give you the process is called Mindset Liberation Guide. And it's how you can take yourself from an inherited pattern to a conscious choice. And that's really what we begin to do when we start to examine our mindset, because we bring our witness and our observer to what's going on with the mindsets and the belief systems that we hold. And we get so conscious of, we start asking questions, is this really supporting me in the life that I want to live? You know, when I was in corporate land, and the set of beliefs that I grew up with and the mindset that I had was that life was all about hard work and sacrifice. And that was drilled into me. That was an inherited pattern, you know, through my parents and their parents and their parents. And my grandparents, all of them, came over on the boat from Italy. I'm 100% Italian on both sides. And that's what we did. We were pulling ourselves up by our bootstraps. And so many people today are still doing that. And I want to invite you into the awareness that there is a different way. And the different way has to begin with thinking that there's a different way. Because if we're locked into the idea that there isn't any other way, then I promise you there isn't any other way. But the minute I open myself to believing that, well, what if there is another way? Now I'm curious about that. Now I'm interested in that. Now maybe I'll take myself on a little bit of a journey or an investigation to discover that. And now I have shifted my mindset. And that is the single thing that is going to prepare me to have a different experience in my life. Courtney says, you're on my frequency. This all feels so made up, the world. That's very observant of you. What if it is all made up? What if it is all just a hologram, a big mirror reflecting back to us the material that we hold in our own consciousness? What if this is all a game that we're playing? What if that's a new mindset? So what game do you want to play? What game do you want to play? What experience do you want to have? This is how we begin slowly, one step at a time, to begin breaking ourselves out of these old patterns, these old limitations. So we're moving from from either or to both and. I want you to write that down. This week, this is a wonderful intention that you can take with you and use. This week, I am moving from a mindset of either or into a mindset of both and. I can be both afraid and nervous, and I can still take a step forward. I can be both acknowledging my missteps and accepting myself, loving myself deeply. And this is so important when we get into a growth mindset, because what takes us back out of the growth mindset is that self-criticism and that self-condemnation and that perfectionism, where we are holding ourselves to a standard that we don't even know what the standard is. We hold ourselves to this invisible rule, this invisible line that if we were challenged for it, we couldn't even articulate it because we make it up and we measure ourselves against nothing. What if we could just let go of that? What if we could just be in exploration and know and understand that making mistakes or missteps is absolutely necessary on any pathway of growth? Jennifer says, yes, it's a game and we are the creators of our own reality. We're living in the matrix, says Lynn. Yes. So there is no spoon. We're living in the matrix. There is no spoon. I'm going to tell you a little story. I did not anticipate telling this story, but here we go. Because the point that I want to make is it's my mindset, it's my perception that dictates the experience that I have in my life. So I am a huge Gene Key fan. I'm like really big into the Gene Keys. And last year I became a guide. And this week we are actually in the energy of Gene Key number 37, which is the shadow of weakness, the gift of strength, and the divine gift or the city of tenderness. And the shadow of weakness is all about imbalance. And that imbalance is where we have more of one thing than we do another. This is why it's so required that we have the both and, because we need the both and. We need the shadow and the light. We need the new and the old. We need the now and the later. And we decide in our minds that these things are either good or bad or right or wrong, and we get fixated into our fixed mindset, and then that narrows the experience that we're going to have. So the longer I'm on the spiritual path, the more I am aware it is about loving my humanness. And loving my humanness means loving all of me, loving all of being human. And being human is hard. And the more I can honor that and respect that and deepen into that, the more love I bring to it. And the more love I bring to it, the more I'm bringing in my spiritual nature and my spiritual understanding of the human condition and the human journey that we're all making here. I'm getting off track. There's a surprise. Okay, Gene Keys. It's spelled Genekeys, Gene Keys. And it's an incredible modality that marries many different systems. It marries astrology with human design. It marries the 5,000-year-old Chinese oracle, which is referred to as the I Ching, which is about the Book of Changes. This is like a huge rabbit hole. I will talk about the Gene Keys at a later time in the future. But the reason that I brought it up is because of the point that I want to make about this story that I want to tell you. The gentleman who channeled the Gene Keys, who brought through the transmission of the Gene Keys, his name is Richard Rudd. And I had this dream that I was sitting in an auditorium and I was waiting for him to come on stage and speak. And I was in the auditorium with my sister-in-law, Felicia. And all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, I have to pee. So Felicia was like, me too. So we got up and we like ran to the bathroom to go to the bathroom. And we peed, we came back, and just as we came out of the bathroom, we noticed that there was this backstage door that was cracked open. And we started going back there. And then all of a sudden, security was like shuttling us out of that area. And once we got shuttled out of that area, all of a sudden, now Richard Rudd came on stage. But I was trapped in this maze of this building. And I was very much in struggle. Like Felicia and I were trying to get back to our seats, but we couldn't find our way. We were like lost in this building. Did you ever have one of these dreams, right? Like where you're trying to get to the airport or you're trying to get to a meeting or like you're trying to do something, but you're all in struggle. And this is really what was happening. And I have had so many dreams like this. All of a sudden, in the dream, I am now sort of pushed into the back of this SUV. One minute I'm in an auditorium, the next minute I'm in an SUV. It's a dream. Go with it. So I get pushed into the back of this SUV, and there's all these people, and they're all like filing in. And there's the only thing that I can do is like keep stepping back, and I get pushed into the back of this car, and sitting next to me is Richard Rudd. And in that moment, I suddenly recognized cellularly, this is beyond just the mind, but cellularly, I just recognized that without that struggle, without that difficulty, without me getting up and going to the bathroom and getting lost, I never would have ended up in the backseat of this car next to this luminary that I am now stuffed next to, and we're going to have a big long chat. But that never would have happened. So in that moment, my mindset totally changed from viewing the whole thing as a struggle to viewing the whole thing as a divine appointment, viewing the whole thing as divinely orchestrated, viewing the whole thing maybe as an adventure. Yeah, take a deep breath. Because I feel the energy shifting in this. This is really the opportunity that we have with our life. And our mind is a beautiful gift, a beautiful tool. And we want to be aware that it's not always right. It's not always, it doesn't always have all the correct info. And if we just keep following our mind, not only do we put ourselves in struggle and suffering, but we also limit the potential of the experience that we can have. So as soon as we open and see things with more light, with more curiosity, with more dimension, with more possibility, with more curiosity, then we shift the experience that we're having. All right. So I'm going to give you a process on this, which I promised, but let me see if I can find the information so I can give it to you. You can go to the URL address, Spiritual Ambition Soul Trip, SOULTRIPP.com, Spiritual Ambition Soul Trip.com. And you can download this beautiful process called Mindset Liberation Guide, moving from inherited patterns to conscious choice. And it's going to take you through a whole process of mapping your mental inheritance. This is too long and too involved for us to do in the confines of the time and the space that we have together. But I'm sharing it with you as my gift, and I hope that you find it helpful. And my guess is that, my sense is that you will make some really cool discoveries if you take yourself through this process. You know, another mindset that I want to invite you into is the deeper level of knowing that we must go through an experience to really change our inner knowing, because the mind is so limited and it can only give us so much. So we can watch shows and listen to podcasts and even read books. We can even get coaches. We can do all the things, or we can watch all the things and we can take in all the info. But if we're not actually engaging and being willing to get it wrong, being willing to let life give us feedback, then real transformation can't actually occur. So I want you to consider that also as a mindset. All right. One of the parts of our show is the celebration of love's alchemy. And the celebration of love's alchemy is a sacred celebration for life itself. And I'm going to read this. This is a gentle pause to recognize the extraordinary magic woven through our everyday lives. Each week, we take a moment of loving celebration for something that might seem ordinary or contrary at first, but holds within it a spark of brilliance as we celebrate and remind ourselves why we chose to take a body and come here to human land. From the sweetness of a juicy orange to the blessing of an emotional trigger, we turn our attention to the less obvious causes for celebration and the little things that we may take for granted. So through loving appreciation and gratitude, we uplift ourselves and our vibration. This is meant to be playful and fun and silly. And I'm sure as we travel the path together, it'll get deeper as we bring our love and attention to things that are more difficult to bring our love and attention to. But today, for whatever reason, I don't know, maybe this is for somebody who is watching the show today, I am called to celebrate the pencil. Yeah, it's totally random. But you remember, right, from the grade school days, getting that number 2 pencil, or maybe you don't, right? Depending on the generation that you're in, maybe you never really had a love affair with a pencil. I'm married to a fine artist, and so we actually still have pencils that kick around the house. And I just want to invite you to remember how it feels to have a pencil and use the granite in the pencil. I found these fascinating facts on this website called cospedia.com. So I'm going to just give them the acknowledgement. But the pencil was patented in 1858 by an American guy named Hyman Lipman. On average, a pencil can be sharpened 17 times, and it can draw a 35-mile long line and write about 45,000 words. Now, what's even crazier about my pencil story, and the part of the pencil story that I want to share, is that as I went looking in my husband's art studio for a pencil today, because this popped into my mind that a pencil would be the thing that we were bringing the celebration of love's alchemy to today. It popped into my mind, and then I started seeing pencils. I started seeing people with pencils. And I was like, come on, it's so stupid. It's random. I wanted to judge myself because I thought that this was so crazy. Who cares about a pencil? But this is sort of part of what I want to do, is have honor for things that we take for granted. So I went shopping for a pencil in Paul's studio, And I found this pencil. And I don't know if it's possible that you see that says golden thread. A golden thread is very important. A golden thread is part of the spiritual essence that gets threaded through our entire life. It's this secret, sacred thing that weaves it all together. And as a matter of fact, I participated in an incredible mastermind group with Dr. Robert Holden called The Golden Thread. And I don't know if maybe this pencil came from him. As a matter of fact, I have to reach out and ask him because I have no idea where this pencil came from. But I want you to know that it is magical and significant that I found this pencil. And this is like a little nod from Spirit to say, keep going with this crazy idea. I want you to keep going with your crazy ideas. I want you to bring forward your crazy ideas, even when they don't make sense, even when your mind is saying, this is crazy, don't do it, you're wasting your time, nobody gives a crap about what you're saying or sharing. Don't listen to that. Don't listen to that voice. That is the voice of that inner judge, that inner critic. That is a trained mindset that we can invite ourselves out of. We can just be super gentle with that voice, super loving, super compassionate, because that's what it's going to take. And our next show, which will be on March 9th, is about our heart. And it's going to be called The Healed Heart Set, from self-criticism to self-compassion. Because this is really the journey that we have to make if we're going to begin to unravel the confines of our mindset. And what's also very unique and most auspicious about what will happen at our next show is that, unfortunately, it will be pre-recorded. And it will be pre-recorded because I will have my boob in a mammogram, which is very significant that I am going to be talking to you about the heart. And what really opened me to my heart was my breast cancer journey. And it was through my breast cancer journey that I really discovered how horrible I was with myself, how mean I was to myself. And so it's very significant that I will be getting a mammogram while you will be watching my show. I'm going to invite us to close our eyes. We have just a couple more minutes together. It really does go fast. And I hope that you found value today. Again, if you would like to download the process, you can go to spiritualambitionsoultrip.com and you can get this beautiful process that I've designed for you to help you loosen up your mindset. So we just want to close and honor the work that everybody has done here today. Honor any awarenesses, epiphanies, revelations, aha moments, anything that felt resonant inside of you. Just acknowledge yourself for your openness and your willingness to be here. We are now closing all energetic lines of communication between any of us, closing all open portals, gateways, channels, agreements, and lines of communication between any of us and the spirit world. We are sealing this sacred time together in love, with love, by love, for love, as love. I'm Donnabond. You're watching Spiritual Ambition. Thank you so much for being here.